We also have to recognize that Kamala Harris has really been a champion on this issue. And I fully expect, and I have seen already from a release that was put out just 2 days ago between Biden and Harris to talk about what's next. So we are not worried that we're going to stand still. And frankly, I'm not worried about the American public really getting behind these climate actions because they save families money. They grow jobs. You see the unions there at the DNC. They're excited about how much is being built again. So we've already seen a great shift. And remarkably, it almost looks like the IRA is bipartisan. Now, hopefully it was, and it will be. But you have Republicans now who recognize that most of the money is going to their districts. And they're signing letters saying we're not going to get rid of the IRA. Oh. So there is something very new afoot. And I think it's all about the shift from talking about anybody's personal interest to actually the interests of the people in the United States of America. And that is beginning really to grow.
What do you make of this whole fracking flap? Republicans have seized on this turn by Kamala Harris, having at one time called for a federal ban on fracking and obviously has turned away from that now. You heard what Brendan Boyle said in an awfully important state like Pennsylvania. Are you disappointed that Kamala Harris has turned away from her original stand on this, or is fracking an essential component of our energy infrastructure?
You know, I think this is all being put in the context of trying to figure out how the shift to clean energy and away from oil and gas can become some kind of a platform for the Republican Party. None of this is a fight right now. What we need to talk about is how do we make that shift to clean energy, and how do we keep people's energy at a lower cost. And we can't shut off oil and gas today or tomorrow. We have to make that transition forward. And part of the challenge is that I think the oil and gas sector hasn't actually responded well to the climate crisis. In fact, they're supporting a lot of the Republican sort of platforms that seem to make it a controversy, when in the end, it's very simple. You know, people need to have clean energy because they need cheaper electricity costs. People need to have vehicles that they can move forward in that won't pollute them and kill their kids. There's a whole range of opportunities here. And part of the excitement today is that the DNC has never been more hopeful. You know, I've seen a lot of these conferences, and honestly, we now seem to have an ability with the vice president and with the governor to actually land together to bring unity here in the United States again, to get away from the bipartisan nonsense, to bridge the gaps that we have seen before. And that's what makes us so hopeful and such an opportunity moment. And I just hope we can all grab it.
Well, as we consider what is going to happen next in the United States, who's potentially going to become president here, it is worth noting when it comes to these issues and the pursuit of net zero, different countries are on different timelines, but this is a global issue. And a criticism that frequently comes from Republicans is that the U.S. can't do this alone as long as China and India are still polluting as much as they are. So how much should we be considering not just the policy that these candidates would bring domestically, but how they would interact with adversaries and allies alike in the pursuit of a cleaner environment?
Well, I'm not sure that the Republicans are really that interested in talking about climate change in a way that's really much more reality-based. Look, they've tipped their hand with Project 2025, right? That plan is all about not just minimizing and challenging our democracy itself, but it's all about going back to oil and gas as the winner here, right? It's all about getting rid of the effort of clean energy. And we now know that climate change is such a global problem that we have to bridge gaps between the United States and every country that's out there. And I don't frankly think that any administration has done a better job of trying to make sure that we're investing in the future here. Part of it is engaging the private sector. And private investors are waking up to both the challenge of climate that they know they can see and we can all feel and taste and touch. But it's all about building resilience at home, but it's also about engaging the private sector to invest not just in developed worlds, but in the developing world, in the global south. And the opportunities to do that are enormous. And so I am seeing a shift not just in politics around this, but really in the fundamental way in which our country and others are looking at their economic opportunities moving forward. We don't have to invest in a way that's going to disadvantage our country. We need to invest in a way that provides opportunities to our country, but more broadly, that makes this the global challenge and opportunity of our lifetime. It is every country that needs to engage. But the U.S., frankly, because of curmudgeons on the Republican side in Congress, and I used a nice term, they just have blocked our ability to actually invest in a way that really shows the United States leadership and what we're trying to do. So hopefully that can get corrected as well as we advance some other races in a way that will make this an opportunity for us as well.
You hear from the other campaign, of course, it's not just Republicans in Congress. Donald Trump largely seems to think that your movement is a hoax. He's questioned the role of EVs despite his new relationship with Elon Musk. He says that windmills don't work, they kill birds and cause cancer. Solar doesn't work. When the sun isn't out, you can't watch TV at night. A lot of people take him at his word there. How do you go up against a message like that?
I think you just have to tell the truth. Plus the other exciting thing is, first of all, windmills, seriously, windmills. I feel like we're back in Holland from 50 years ago. But the issue is that people are beginning to see both the threat, but they're also of climate change, but they're also seeing that it makes a difference in their lives. We already have 3.4 million homes that have grabbed Inflation Reduction Act monies in order to reduce the costs associated with putting solar in their homes and making their homes more efficient. When people start seeing these benefits, I mean, we are talking about $400 billion in private sector investment. That is thousands and thousands of jobs. And that is real human beings getting a shot at being in the middle class because they have a job again, So it's that excitement that we have to really amplify. We need people to understand that it's not about the planet. It is about the people and them, their families, their communities. And as money gets invested, we are really seeing significant opportunities for individuals to sort of feel it themselves. That's when it's going to take off. And frankly, the outline of new proposals and how much we can do that was just delivered by Biden and Harris really show you the path forward.